Uh-oh.
So, I'm just gonna record us talking, and
Well, why don't we do what we said we were going to do? You know, the chapter. Let's you get to hear me, and I get get a better feel for you, and we go from there.
um, I think that sounds good, Jimmy. So, um, um, what exactly?
Why was it my favorite chapter?
Yep. Chapter five.
Yes.
What was it about chapter five that you really, really enjoyed about it, and how did it help you towards the future?
Well, uh, what I really enjoyed about it, it really, in many ways, was one of those events in life that changed the direction of my career, uh, and it also gave me the first opportunity exposure to a setback, and the combination of those two things sent me on my merry way and got me where I'm at here today in many ways. Uh, Basically, what took place is during my college days, because my dad had got me interested in the market, and I had a couple of trades that worked out very well, work mentioned in the book. I got
Yes.
hooked on it, and it's like the dice table. If you go to the dice table and you win the first time, you're
Yeah.
hooked. It may be
Yeah.
they may program your wins once a year, but you're in. So I was hooked on it, and I would really have my heart set on becoming a broker at Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch was the gold standard at that point. So I took other interviews actually just to hone my interviewing skills. The day came when Merrill Lynch came on the campus, and I was fired up, and I just felt that this was my calling, and I didn't entertain any other career options. I go to the interview. We pretty much know individually whether we're doing good or we're not. I mean, other we can fool others, but not ourselves. And I felt the interview was going pretty good, and I made no bones about the fact that I really wanted to be associated with Merrill Lynch, and I felt that I could do the job, and in effect make them proud, and at the same time build a career. And when this half-hour interview was over, and I'm not even sure how long the interview should have taken place, but it ended by the interviewer from Merrill Lynch telling me that this was not the career path, in his opinion, that I could not cut it, was his words, in this industry. Well, not so much what he said, but how he said it. And I left there just in a state of shock, in a state of despair, really, because I mean, now what? And so a couple of days like that, and about a week later, um, my my upsetment really turned to anger. I didn't like this, and I didn't like it because if this was his method of telling somebody it's not for him, instead of just saying we'll be back to you, what is so difficult to say we'll be back to you, then that's it. But no, so why it changed my life? I was planning on starting at Merrill Lynch when I graduated. Well, I had no career path, so I decided that I was going to go to graduate school. That was a major change. So I got an MBA at Drexel.
Okay.
I stayed
Cool.
at the Bulletin. I was a part-time job during college. I stayed there during graduate school. And then, out of a series of strange events, but connected in some way, I wound up as a shareholder in a company called Stansbury Mining. And after a couple very successful small investments, I took my wedding reception money of $1,400, and I made two trades and got it up to like 7 or 8,000.
That's good.
Yeah, and I was in. So to that point, then I met a gentleman when I was in Utah, looking at companies, trying to understand, because I was very interested in what made a small company successful. Was there a thread that connected these? And in that quest, I met a gentleman, Dr. Christiansen, who was president of a company called Stansbury Mining. And he was also the former president of the World Council of Geologists. So this was a upscale guy in his field. So I bought stock, I'll never forget, February 19th of 1970. Now, up to that point, I had made money fairly quickly in my investment. Now I'm into it. I got my dad into it. 6 years went by and nothing. I was at Sun Oil. I got a job at Sun Oil, stayed there, had a nice career there in outside sales, industrial sales. Anyway, the stock is at a penny. It's not doing anything. I get a call one day from this same Dr. Christiansen saying, would I be interested in becoming a director? Miners, literally. They mine the resources in Utah and had no business experience. So they had 3 guys, a geologist and 2 mining guys, trying to run a public company. So would I be interested? I said, before he was finished, I said, absolutely. Having no idea what I needed to do. And one of the things I needed to do is I needed to buy these people out. So it wound up, I borrowed $15,000. I bought these 2 people out at a penny. I had 1.5 million shares. Then I went with no experience in any of this. Long story short now, Dr. Christiansen and I, after a couple of visits, were out at breakfast. A guy comes in. He was a farmer. I knew he was a farmer because I grew up in West Philadelphia. And it was an odor I never had smelled. He sat down. Dr. Christiansen knew the guy. And up to that point, I was always somewhat prejudiced about who I wanted to talk business with. I had a vision in my mind, a stereotype rather. Sat down. Dr. Christiansen had just put in a limestone property because I had asked him the properties they had obviously were not commercially viable. Do you have anything? He said, yeah, I have the purest limestone in west of the Mississippi in my name. I said, would you put it in the company so we can do something? Because the property is no good unless it's developed. So he did. Turns out, after this meeting, about 6 months later, we wound up signing a $100 million deal with Martin Marietta. This gentleman lived next to the head geologist from Martin Marietta. On August the 29th, 30th, and 31st of 79, over 9 years later, the stock went nuts to $1. In 3 days, it went from 27 to 81. I never forgot. And that basically changed my life. Then I decided in 85 to bring my own company public, Margate Ventures. And within 18 months, that was the #1 performing stock in America, percentage-wise, from 2 cents to 67 cents. Our company was written up in U.S. News and World Report and in Business Week. It was mentioned about how the percentage gain that's possible in the low price market. I don't know whether a penny stock had ever been mentioned in either one, let alone both. So that was payback time for me. I checked on this guy, see where he was at, found out the Merrill Lynch guy that blew me off, found out where he was, went to the office. Merrill Lynch at that time was the leader in the brokerage community. He was on the phone. I walked right by his secretary, sat down. He was on the phone looking somewhat confused what I was doing there. And got off the phone. He said, can I help you? I said, you already have 20 years ago. He said, really? How's that? I said, you don't remember me, but I said, you interviewed me at Widener University when about a job. And you told me I wasn't cut out for this field. And I want to tell you, you were absolutely right. I was not cut out to be a broker. However, and then I put both copies on his desk and not gently and said, here's my company that I started. So you were correct. I was in the it was the right church, but the wrong pew.
Uh-huh.
And then basically told him where he could stick these two articles and walked out.
Mm.
I just felt that, and what I thought about and why I was really aggravated when I went to see him, and ironically, he did me a favor, but why I went back very aggressively was that I thought about all those other students that he had that demeanor with that maybe never recovered.
Mm.
And I just figured, well, you know what, I can't change that, but I can certainly rattle his cage. And the chapter in the book why I feel was a favorite is that, and also I've gotten the most feedback on that because just about everybody that listens to that chapter, forget the other ones, has been rejected. Everybody's been rejected. The question is not whether you've been rejected. The question really is, how have you handled it?
Oh yeah.
I use it as a motivator. Other people use it as a failure as well. You know what? And then they resign themselves to a career or to a job that's less than they would have had that one person just handle it differently. So that's why it's my favorite chapter.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. The reaction that I got from that chapter was I was reminded of world famous entrepreneur Walt Disney, who he said he failed countless times before like the Disney company got like started and like Disney World and everything like that. Like he was just used to like frequent like such like a lot of failure. So and then he was able to get through it
Well,
and then
perseverance is omnipotent. But
oh yeah.
the other message in this chapter goes to the core of my book, and that is self-confidence. Um, that is really that was the first time it was called on in my career, and that made a difference. Not the only time, but the first time. And my parents are responsible. In my opinion, there's two ways to get self-confidence. One is the easy way: have your parents instill it. And I've always said, and I say in the book, that the most important role of a parent for a child between 7 and 12, 7 because most 7-year-olds can take care of themselves now, and 12-year-old before they get to high school and all of that baggage, is that the most important role of a parent is encouragement. It doesn't take much time, a text, whatever. Parents spend so much time sending people to college. Why are all these successful people either on drugs or suicidal or in therapy? The majority of times is they just don't really like themselves.
Mm.
They don't have that. Self-confidence is an integral part of a happy life, not just a career, not just money, but living. Because the biggest difference that I have seen, I used to do these entrepreneurial seminars, and the one question I've been asked was, what, in my opinion, is the biggest obstacle to success? And it's the easiest question I've ever been asked, and that is the inability to pull the trigger. That is the single biggest obstacle. And why? Because it is a direct result of the lack of confidence. And it manifests itself two ways. You have an idea, a person lacking self-confidence has an idea and is excited, and then realizes it was their idea. How good can that be? And talks themselves out of it.
Yeah.
The second example is somebody has an idea, they get all excited, and let's say both cases are legitimate excitement. I mean, there's a good reason to be excited. And then they say, if it was this good, somebody else would have had it. And again, they talk themselves out of it. I mean, I hope my goal in this book, in this tour, this podcast, is to get this message out, to get to people and to be thinking, I have been successful, very successful, but you can acquire self-confidence later in life, but it's a lot tougher than having it growing up.
Yeah.
That's a message I'd like to take to people, because that
Yeah.
is self-confidence, especially if fear is the enemy of self-confidence. And with the pandemic, we've had enough fear in the last 12 to 18 months to last a lifetime. Fear of getting sick, fear of losing a job, fear of running out of a lot of everything. So it seemed when somebody suggested I do this audio book, because I didn't want to write a book. I don't have that kind of patience. Um, it sounded like a good idea, and I did it. It was the most cathartic thing I've ever done, because it gave me an opportunity to reflect upon people, places, and events that I probably would have never thought about again.
Mm.
So that's why you and I are here. I have a message that I really feel needs to be delivered.
Mm.
That people just are second guessing themselves, and I can, maybe by knowing that, not for today, but the other chapter that really brings the point home is the chapter on the Justice Department, justice in quotes,
Mm.
and how they had me on the ropes for my, I went from an expert witness to a target while I'm helping educate the grand jury on this particular. It was actually a case against organized crime family from New Jersey.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
that's
okay.
a story for another day. But I love doing these things.
Yeah. Uh, um, that is really interesting. And what you said about getting the support from your like mom and dad, from your parents, I feel the same way. Like growing up, I had very supportive parents, and I still have very supportive parents now. Like they've always supported my endeavors. They've given me love and affection. They've given me money. They've always supported me every step of the way. And
You
and
you are one of the lucky ones, because
yeah.
unfortunately, the more people I meet, the fewer can make that same statement that you and I make,
Mm.
and that's sad. Parents spend too much time on everything else to get their job. Fundamentally, is prepare the child for the world.
Yeah.
If they walk out into the world lacking self confidence, it doesn't matter what else they got.
Yeah.
It'll always be a governor on their career, on their life.
Yeah. Um, kind of to kind of kind of to go off of that. I'd say a good conversation before the kids go to college. Um, a good conversation parents could have with their kids is see where your niche is in your program. Where do you fit in your program? Where do you fit in your major? What do you think your role will be in your tentative job? Like, what role will you play? Because we all play different roles. And something that I loved that you get into in one of your other chapters is that you're part of a team. And it is part of the team. And we all bring different talents. We all have different abilities. We all do different things. We all have different roles. So, what is your role? So, when kids go off to college, ask yourself in the jobs you have in college, in the class you have in college, are you going to be the one who participates in class? Are you going to be the one who takes really studious notes? Are you going to be the one that arranges? Are you going to be the connector? Are you going to connect everyone in class? Are you going to arrange the parties? Are you going to be the party guy?
You're
Like,
either going to be proactive or reactive.
mm,
There are only two categories you fit in. My take on that is that you're laying the groundwork in the 7 to 12 age group. By the time you're sitting down with a college or graduate student, that person pretty much, who that person is, has pretty much been determined who they're going to be. And if they're
yeah,
lacking basic confidence, they can answer the questions. Intelligence obviously is very important, but an intelligence also can hide things. They can answer the questions that they know the person wants to hear. and in their heart of hearts. They may not even know it until they're confronted. But I mean, I just feel that uh, that when you listen to that chapter on justice, it really, I tried to put people in the courtroom with me, how I felt. I was scared. I was confused. I had no idea what was going on. And I understood when I left that courtroom, and I haven't talked about that since the book. And that was it. That was the day the Berlin Wall fell. That's how long that's been. But I realized that uh, if you start second guessing your, have you ever been in a situation where you start to question your own memory? You know, they were showing me documents that I didn't remember, and pretty after a while, you know, you think, wait a minute, could I have forgotten all this? And when you start second guessing yourself, and I did for a while, that was scary. And then my self confidence kicked in, and things turned out absolutely for the best. But when I left it that day, I understood completely why people of color have real issues with the justice system. I understand that. I had the money, the brains, the contacts, and they had me on the ropes. And you know, there's just, I just think that, I guess, and to sum all this up is, I've lived the American dream, but the American dream is like a series. It's like a mosaic, a series of events that everybody I think experiences one way or another. I'm no different. I grew up in West Philadelphia, and you know, it's not like we went to Harvard or any of that. And I just think how you handle it. But if people know that there's another way maybe to handle it, and look at how that turned out for me, maybe they'll extrapolate and say, well, Jesus, this guy, you know, I mean, it worked for him, and this guy's not, you know, he's no pedigree in terms of my dad was a machinist. You know what I mean? That's what I hope my message, and it's already begun to resonate. But I need to get a bigger platform. And technology, as we've already found out, trying to find you on the screen or find me is not my long suit.
Um, let's see. I would say, if you know people who do TED Talks, I would say definitely do a TED Talk, because I think you could do a great TED Talk. And I'd say documentary on like Netflix or Hulu or something. And but do you know how to write a script?
No, no. That's the trick in this world, is find the venue that fits you. That's why I asked a while back about interactive. That is my strength. Being questioned, challenged. I don't care what it is. That's where I'm most comfortable. I mean, something like this with you, if you know, this is comfortable because I see you, and and obviously you're a sincere person. I can tell that. I mean, that's what you want to do. You have, and that's a cool thing. You're a family person. I like, and I mean, but I mean, a lot of times people, they try to be something they're not, and it don't work. It never did. I mean, you got to go, if they say you got to leave with the girl that brung you. So, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm open to suggestions. But if I could help you build, a following, we could kill two birds with one stone.
That would be really cool.
You would have to tell me. This is your world, not mine.
So, yeah, I'm on the autism spectrum, and I would love to start a charity to get people with autism more active in community service and giving back. And I want it to really help minorities with autism too. like kind of like the Boys and Girls Club, but specifically geared towards people with autism. So yeah,
Let me, what you
yes,
just said, now I know why. I am the number one fan on the earth of serendipity. I believe people come along for a reason. And I could give you 100 examples of what I'm saying, what have experienced. Let me just tell you where we're going with this. Um, I am currently um, involved in an initiative that we're going to take nationally and eventually internationally. And it has to do with drinking water and children. Uh, my partner is the former Surgeon General of the Navy, Admiral Koenig, and a pediatric oncologist by profession. We've created a website. It's not up yet. It's called aquapure.org. It's going to be, we're working with GoDaddy. We're going to have a live feed on information. Have you ever heard of a term, forever chemicals? PSA in water. Well, first of all, water is a crisis. Drinking water, uh,
yes,
cancer, and you mentioned autism. There's so many
yes,
diseases in children that are impacted. I won't say caused because nobody. The only thing that they know is cancer is caught in children. We have got the answer to it. We are affiliated with a company that I helped go public a long time ago, and they have a technology that removes 99.99% of all contaminants, including the forever chemicals. They're called forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they're there forever. And the other side of that coin is, you ready for this?
yeah,
2.5 million plastic bottles are discarded in America every single day.
it's a lot.
And people think drinking water from a, bottled water is safer. Guess what? If you've had any bottled water recently, you see that the bottles are getting thinner. When you go to, you can't even squeeze it. You have to be careful, or the water squirts out because there's the thickness of the plastic. Well, any bottles that are like that are stored even at room temperature, the plastic leaches into the water. It's the most contaminated thing you can drink. And everybody thinks that this is the way around tap water. That's what we're doing. I would, and if you're into this, children with autism, there, our target is the children's market. One, and then I'm not gonna take your time anymore, but there's one study, and I have your email address. I'm going to send you some stuff. The
Yes,
study is recent, May of 2000, 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. It did a study on 50 nursing mothers, 50. Out of 50, 50 had absorbent amounts of forever chemicals in their system. Now, to give you some idea, the government kind of allows 70 parts per trillion. This technology we are working with takes it down to under 1 part per trillion. The study that was done, these women had over 1,000 times the legal limit. Now, what does that say to the babies being nursed? That is one scary scenario. 50 out of 50. But nobody knows of this technology. That's why we're going to take it to the world. The Admiral has decided that he's going to be the spokesperson for children internationally. And he's done a 3-minute audio, powerful audio, which is going to be part of our website. I would love to have you involved. This is something that makes a difference.
Yeah, I would love to be involved in any way possible. So I do write articles kind of on the side. I've written for a magazine called Millennial Magazine.
Oh,
If you'd like me to write,
absolutely.
like,
I'll send you. The best way to do this is you don't need my spin. I want to just send you. This is a science-based water filter bottle, and pitcher. Brita and all these others, they talk about pure, clear, pristine, whatever adjective. They are marketing adjectives. I have done my research due diligence twice, 20 years ago and 6 months ago on the same product line. And this is the only one that I could find on the planet that was backed by science. And you'll see, I'll send you that. Anything. Now, let me ask you this. This is the kind of thing that maybe, and I know writing is another hobby of yours. Well, any one of these things that, let's just say, hypothetically, you were to chronicle the growth of what we're doing. If you just, that would attract that. See, air contamination is a team sport. By that I mean every country's got to participate, or it's like having a peeing section in a pool. It doesn't work. Water is an individual sport. A family can buy a $70 pitcher and take control of the quality that they're drinking. So we're going to build this with some high-powered people. The Surgeon General, the number one. And this could be, again, I'm just throwing this out. This could be, since you write, this could be something that you could be kind of like, the what's the word for, like what did the monks do? The chronicle. You could like chronicle.
The scribe.
Yeah. Well, you could chronicle the progress. Everybody's interested in it. I mean, it affects every living person. 2 million children die every year, primary because of bad water, through, dysentery and things like that. And a lot, in this country, not just Flint, Michigan, has got, in Flint, it happened in 2016. The only thing the government has done is watch the pipes get rustier in 5 years. They've done nothing. Can't count on them. So having somebody like yourself, if this is of interest, have some kind of chronicling what's going on, and the progress we're making and who's getting involved, pediatric groups, and that could be cool. And I mean, there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. That is an awesome opportunity. That's an awesome pitch. So in about a month, I'm going to be taking 2 classes in addition to the things I'm doing now. So it's going to be harder for me to do things. I will be.
There's no time. I'm just going to give you information. You do with it whatever you want. There's no pressure. If you see something that I send you that you see could be of something that you could help you either in the writing career, in a podcast career, in whatever, it will help me get exposure.
That'd be great. I think it's a great way to help each other. Yeah, I just want to say that probably in October will probably be a harder time for me to contribute. So probably if I contribute, it would be before October.
When I say contribute, I don't have a definition. I
Sure.
just mean maybe a contact, maybe I have no idea what that is. It could be. I don't have, like I said, I don't have a definition for it. I'm just our role now is to educate as many people as possible. A, of the problem, because a lot of people ignore it, and B, of a solution, a
Yes.
science-based solution. That's it. That's our absolute challenge.
Mm.
And we run this program, the Admiral and I, along with the General, run a program called Operation Key West, where we send military couples that have lost a child on a vacation of their choice. We've been doing that for a while. So, we're into this childhood cancer business. My own granddaughter died 5 years ago from liver cancer.
That is awful. That is absolutely
She lived
terrible.
1 hour she lived 1 hour from Flint, Michigan. I'm not saying it caused it, but it sure didn't help it.
Okay.
So anyway, now what happens now with the podcast? You're gonna slice and dice this up, I know, because a lot of it is
Um,
talking shit. That's all.
um, let's see. I don't do the edits that much.
Oh, okay.
Like, I could probably do more editing later, but um, kind of in this early phase, I kind of like to put out kind of the whole product, um, and just get it as close to one take as possible.
But you have to eliminate some of the beginning and some of the end. We're recording now. You don't want this on there.
No, 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 no. This I would have to